You are very welcome to this, the Bitcoin Tarot podcast for the 25th of May 2018 with me, Cosmic Conroy. Last week, the cards told us that the price was dying. We even saw the death card. But that after it had finished dying, which I stressed might not be this week, there would be some recovery. The judges have declared an A grade for me for this week, which is good news for me compared to the drop in Bitcoin price, though it's very sad because Bitcoin went down by 10% over the week, continuing the slow bleed that the cards predicted. Will the cards continue to predict a slow bleed? Will the price shoot back up? Will I do better than an A next week? We'll turn to the cards to find out. We'll do our usual 4-card spread, with the first card representing the past week, the second card representing the current moment, the third card representing the future week in Bitcoin, and the last card giving us a sort of causality, an overall meta view of the project. And so, without further ado, let us begin. Our first card represents the last 7 days in Bitcoin, and that card is the Queen of Wands. She represents the fulfillment of ideas, bringing them into being. She represents exuberance and all good things, which seems difficult for a card representing the last week in Bitcoin where the price plummeted 10%. We must be very careful with our reading this week. The cards are being obtuse. Our next card represents the current moment in Bitcoin, and that card is the 9 of Discs, known as Gain. The card represents happiness and exuberance and financial gain. So it's another confusing card. The cards seem to be telling us that we have had good times and continue to have good times, even though meanwhile the price of Bitcoin has been dropping. This is a very confusing reading. Let's hope the next card will help us understand. Our next card represents the next 7 days or so in Bitcoin, and that card is the 5 of Discs, Worry. It represents poverty and desolation. It tells us that it's a disc card, of course, which means that it's about money, and the fact that it's a number 5 means it's about as bad as the line of suits get. The 5 of Discs represents about as bad as money can be. So if the cards are telling us that things have been good this week and at the moment, but they're going to get worse, that could be bad. Let's see what the next card brings. The next card represents an overall meta state of the project, the sort of reason why these other 3 cards exist in their timeline. It represents causality. And that card is the Prince of Swords. He portends a battle that's coming soon. He's action oriented and he likes to get in there and fight, even when fighting isn't necessarily necessary. And so the meaning of the reading becomes clear. Compared to next week, last week looked like a wonderful time of happiness and gain, but next week will bring the real worry because of rashness and insecurity. Last week was a walk in the park compared to next week. That's the end of our reading. I'd like to do a longer reading with perhaps something other than price as the focus, or perhaps looking at some alt cards, but I can't afford to do that unless you chip in. So here's a Bitcoin address. If Bitcoin are in the lead at the end of the fundraiser, we won't touch any altcoins at all. On the other hand, here's Ethereum. Ethereum is in the lead at the moment, and if they're still in the lead at the end, then when we get to the end of the fundraiser, I'll do a side reading on Ethereum type issues. Taking up second place, Ethereum Classic. If Ethereum Classic are still in the lead at the end of the fundraiser, we'll do some kind of Ethereum Classic side reading about perhaps immutability of the blockchain. Finally, here's a Bcash address. If you like big blocks and you cannot lie, donate with Bitcoin Cash to this address here. And if they're still in the lead when we reach the end of the fundraiser, I'll do some kind of side reading on block size. There's only 3% funded so far, so if you'd like to contribute, then please get donating now, and if you don't want to, you can always upvote and share. Until next time, don't let the worry hurt you too much, and may the Bitcoin bless you.